Hey guys, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Welcome back to Ignition Point. This is the show where we talk about how big ideas can catch fire, and yours can too. At least that's the tagline I'm going with currently. Since the last episode, I've been thinking a little bit about what this show is about. Going back and forth with ChatGPT a lot, my cognitive sparring partner, to figure out exactly what I want this to be. And honestly, I think it is going to evolve. I think that the general premise is sound. I want to talk about how people with technical or scientific ideas can make their ideas more legible to civilians, and how they can amplify them using media. But it could evolve, and I don't know exactly how it's going to evolve. I think a lot of modern media is actually, it's a co-creation. It's a co-creation between the audience and the creator, and those things evolve over time. So ChatGPT, my sparring partner, has been, we've been going back and forth on what this is and how personal it should be and where it should live. My YouTube channel, or my company, FlowSpark Media's channel, but I've sort of arrived that it should be on my channel, and that Ignition Point should more or less be my podcast about my thinking about the world of media, and how we can translate our scientific expertise into something that's credible, legible, and can sort of catch fire in the world and get people interested. So that's what it's about. So if you're new to the show, which everybody is new to the show at this point, because this is episode 2, a little bit about me. So I call myself a filmmaker, creative director, science storyteller. That sort of scratches the surface of things that I'm interested in. I'm also really interested in philosophy, martial arts, cooking, all manner of things. Music's probably my second love after filmmaking and science. So, or actually, I guess that would be my third love. So that's me, and I think as this show goes on, we can get a little bit more into sort of my background. So the point of this show is really sort of my journey as well, which is somebody that was a scientist, that worked in science, and then pivoted to media, and I wanted to understand how I could get scientific ideas into the public and to make them understandable to people and to get people interested in science. So that's something you can do as a journalist or sort of general science communicator, but it's also something that you need to do if you're the founder of a company, or you have, a new invention or a new discovery, and you want people to know about it and to have some control over how that's received in the world, and not be completely reliant on legacy media to get your message out there. So I think the point of this episode is sort of relates to the point of what I started with, which is that this is a co-creation. I don't know exactly the direction this is going to take. And in the world that we live in currently, that is okay. It is okay to iterate. It is okay to start with something and not know exactly where it's going to go, and to revise as you go based on the feedback that you get. Now, that sort of thing should be like very satisfying to people that have a scientific background, because you basically get to run experiments and to find out if people are interested in what you want, and then iterate and then make a better version of it. Now, this is like very different from legacy media, which was constrained by things like airtime. So you had to create something, it had to be perfect when it went out. And once it was out, it just sort of disappeared and was never seen again. So like on, television, you would create a show, it would be seen, and then whenever it aired, which is a crazy concept in this era of streaming, but it would air and then it would just disappear into the ether. So it had to be perfect when it went out. And so I'm somebody that came from that world, briefly worked in television, TV news and documentary, and everything had to be extremely polished. And I still have, and there's nothing inherently wrong with polished media. There's nothing inherently wrong with wanting to put out a good product. But I think what's different about starting your own media presence is that you don't know what the audience wants. If you work in television, that's already been established. You're delivering something that you already know that people want, that's been honed over many years. And like I said, it needs to be completely polished when it goes out. But the environment that we live in now, things can be a bit more unpolished and just go out. So the point is that it's okay to just start doing something and turn on your microphone and turn on your camera and just experiment, and don't be so worried about what people think about what you're saying. You just have to get it out there and start creating something that people can consume, something that the algorithm can pick up. And in all likelihood, the algorithm is not going to pick it up because you don't know what you're doing. So like people are not going to see it unless you send it to them and say, hey, watch this. Even then they might not watch it. So you've just got to start that process of, generating a hypothesis, running the experiment, and then doing the analysis on what's working and what's not. And I mean, the amazing thing, especially with like the YouTube algorithm, is that it gives you very detailed second by second, minute by minute, second by second information about what your audience is doing. It gives you all kinds of demographic information about, who's watching your videos, and you can really dig into that. And as somebody coming from science, that is actually pretty satisfying. So I think if you're on the fence about starting doing your own content, your own media, you just need to start, and you need to start letting the algorithm, letting the eyeballs work on your content. It's a little bit like it's like the metaphor of you have, a block of marble, and you are you're not turning that into a statue. The statue's in there, and you just have to find you just have to chip away until the statue sort of emerges out of that block of marble. And it's essentially what we're doing with content. So just so you know that, just so you understand, I'm not talking out of my ass here. This is exactly the process that we, excuse me. This is exactly the process that we sort of went through when I was the video producer for Scientific American. So Scientific American had some video content on its site. This is like 10, 15 years ago, but they hadn't really established a video program at that point. And so we were really kind of starting from scratch. And this is also, YouTube was sort of a new thing at that time. And so, and they didn't have quite as many analytic tools as they have now. So, but we started that process, and we just started putting content out there and started seeing what would work and what wouldn't work. And, over time, what emerged was that people really, really like animation and like having scientific concepts explained with animation. And so that sort of became a bigger part of that program. And I was fortunate to have developed some of those skills, having and sort of being influenced by the show Nova Science Now, which was hosted by Neil deGrasse Tyson. And that was, that show used a lot of very fun compositing and animation and stuff like that. So I had freshly sort of come off of that internship there, and spent some time with the guys there doing After Effects, and I'd been teaching myself After Effects. So when I ended up at Scientific American and started testing video ideas, like animation and compositing became a big part of it. So this all kind of culminated over a number of years with this video, which is probably my biggest viral video hit, which is called What Happens to Your Body After You Die. Kind of morbid topic, but we turn that into a South Park style animation that shows that shows what happens to your body like after you die and how it decomposes. And it could have been a really gross video, but we made it fun and sort of had a bit of a philosophical message at the end. Anyways, that video ended up getting like 12 million views, which is not Beast level. Mr. Beast level, that's him on an average, random Tuesday, but for Scientific American, like 10 years ago, that was amazing. And that is still, I believe, their most watched video of all time. But we arrived there not because we started there. We arrived there because we just started making stuff and coming up with ideas. And when I say we, I'm talking about me and the editors of the magazine, who were often in the videos. And we just sort of figured out what worked. And so that was one of the last videos that I made there before I moved on, but it ended up being this breakout hit. That's I guess that's the message for this episode, is you just need to start. You just need to start that process, get going with media. And that sort of also speaks to, starting with something that's rather simple, like this. I'm talking to you to camera in my little studio. I'm not putting a huge amount of production effort into what I'm doing. Now, I do have like a very good microphone setup from other podcasting situations. I have, a nice ring light, and I've put a little effort into graphics. But this is, for me at least, is pretty basic, a pretty basic level. But if you want your content, if you want your ideas to get out there and for people to notice them and to get traction, you got to start somewhere. And so start with something basic, start today, and just get going and put something out there. So that's really, this is another rambly episode, which I sort of apologize for. I sort of don't, because like I said, we're creating this together. But I think the takeaway message for this episode is just to get started and find that statue in the marble of ideas that you have and start building that content and start letting the algorithm work on that. And you will eventually find the critical path, as it is, to the content that resonates with your audience. So that's good general advice for anyone creating content, but in particular for people with scientific or technical backgrounds who are prone to perfectionism. That's an important message for you, because you need to adopt a more scientific lens about this and not worry about being a filmmaker or a media savant. That's not where you start. That's comes further along in the process. So anyways, that's it for this episode. Thank you for watching, and please let me know if you find this content valuable. If you do, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, write a comment, write a review. The more people that are, the more you do that, the more people that will see this, and we'll start building this show together. So until next time, I'm R Olson, and thanks for tuning in to Ignition Point.